Are you someone who keeps stretching your hips over and over, but that tightness just keeps coming back? What if I told you you're wasting your time stretching if you're not doing this one thing? Stick with me until the end because I'm going to show you a simple but powerful technique that'll make your hip mobility gains actually last. So first I'm going to show you a simple but effective passive stretch so we can really start to loosen up the backside of our hips. So what you're going to do is get into what we call a 90-90 position. So I'm at a 90-degree angle here, 90-degree angle here, and I like supporting myself with my arm here. We call this a high oblique position. If you have a ton of tension already, you can even drop it down to the forearm. We can still get a very similar stretch. So from this position, our starting move is we're just going to hinge at the hip here. Think of proud chest leaning forward until we feel a big stretch on the back side of the hips. And we're going to simply hold this for a good 30 to 45 seconds. As I'm here, I'm thinking of channeling my inner Zen. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as I breathe out, I'm seeing if I can start to hinge further and further. Now to maximize this stretch, like I said, we fold at the hip crease. I don't want you rounding forward. Then we're not getting a true hip stretch, and that's the whole reason why we're here. So from the side, in through the nose, out through the mouth, trying to sink further in. And if you're not keeping track of time, then think of doing 5 breaths, trying to sink further into that range with each breath. Again, you should feel a lot of tension in the glute area. If you're feeling any pinching in the front side of the hip, that's where you would drop it down to the forearm and do a similar move by folding into that side. Now that we help loosen up the tissues passively by just slowly breathing and folding into this stretch, we're going to turn it up to the next level and add that active technique so then we can really hold on to these changes for long periods of time. So the beautiful thing about this is you can almost turn every passive stretch you do into an active stretch from the same position. So as we were folding further and further into this stretch, now we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to start to activate the muscles, especially on the back side of the hip, and that's where we see those changes stick. So after that passive stretch, I'm going to lean forward until I run out of real estate. If I keep going, I'm going to round from the spine. And then from here, I'm thinking about driving either my knee or my whole shin into the ground to bring my body back up. So I'm constantly putting pressure into the floor here until I'm in that nice upright position. And then we're going to simply repeat and see if we can start to fold a little bit deeper. Again, driving into the ground. It should feel pretty difficult, like you're getting a good workout in the glutes. And then you're gonna simply repeat this for a good 10 times. So I can tell I'm already going further. Again, driving into the ground. I'll show a couple reps from the side here. So again, proud chest, leaning forward, big stretch, driving shin and knee into the ground to bring myself back up. Again, I'm not trying to rush through this. Slow and controlled movement so we can really get that nervous system to adapt to these ranges. And then that's again where we're gonna get those long-term results. So I'm going further and further each time, really driving in. And if you can tolerate it, I like to go up to about 50% of my max effort. So if I let go right here, all I'm doing is driving that leg into the ground. Again, feeling a big stretch as I go forward, but also feeling those muscles activate. And again, that's the special technique that's gonna help long term. So after your 10 reps, you're gonna switch it to the other side. So if you didn't do your passive stretch on the other side, you're gonna lean into it. Man, I feel a lot of tension here already. Breathe in, out. Thinking leaning that heart forward. And then after my 5th breath, I keep opening that up, and then I'm immediately gonna start that active technique. So now I'm gonna drive knee and shin into the ground to bring my torso up, and then we're just simply gonna slowly fold back into that, seeing if we can go any further. I can. Drive leg in. Again, this should feel like a workout. This is where real mobility changes happen. So most people do passive stretching. If you're just doing passive stretching, that's why it keeps resetting over and over again. So I'm showing you the secret techniques that no one shows you so you can really take advantage, because if you're already doing the passive stretching, you might as well add this element to it. And then again, that's what's gonna take your mobility gains to the next level. I'll show it one more time from the other angle. Again, folding in at the hip crease, Again, any pinching, you just drop it down to the forearm. I feel pretty good, just a big old stretch here, and then driving into the ground. Whew. And I feel like I'm sweating already, and this should, again, feel like a mini workout. To create lasting hip mobility, you really need to teach your muscles how to activate within those new ranges, and that's what teaches your nervous system to hold on to those changes, because if you just passively stretch through it, yes, it'll work temporarily. If you don't utilize conscious effort and movement into those ranges, your nervous system says, well, hey, that was cool, but we don't use this, so there's no reason to hold on to it. This is where active stretching comes into play. Using your own muscle strength within those ranges, you're adding a stability component to it, and when mobility and stability come together, whew, you're unstoppable on reaching your mobility goals. So to summarize, passive stretching is great, but it's only one half of the equation. To make gains that last, you have to activate the muscles within that passive stretch range. I promise if you practice this after each stretch session, you'll really start to notice those changes, especially lasting for longer periods of time. So remember, stretching alone won't do the trick. You need mobility plus stability, and again, that's what really changes our neurology and our nervous system's adaptation to our tissues in that area. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button and also comment below how this worked for you. And if you're looking for ways to build mobility that last, then check out my Mobility Suite membership. It's packed with quick 5-minute routines just like this to keep your whole body moving better every day.